In the old Soviet Union, there was what we Americans came to loathe as communist propaganda. You know, it really did exist. It was called Glavlit. It was a censorship body employed to eliminate undesirable printed materials and to ensure that the correct ideological spin was put on every published item. In places like Cuba, Fidel Castro followed suit with the same pattern. Cuba is where I was born, by the way, so of course I saw some of the worst examples of that there. But by far, the worst ever when it comes to propagandists was Joseph Goebbels. That's right, Goebbels, he was the Nazi minister of propaganda. So we've always been, you know, somewhat perplexed by the whole theory of propaganda. Here in America, with the exception of the argument that can be made about the voice of America, which is really more external, we've never really engaged so much, at least not openly, on internal propaganda, trying to, you know, change the minds of American people until now. Here's RT America's Dan Cohen with this report.
The State Department has announced Leah Gabrielle to head its Global Engagement Center. This was created by the Obama administration in 2016, supposedly to counter Islamic State propaganda. Now, under Donald Trump, its mission has shifted, supposedly to counter Russian and Chinese propaganda. At one point, Leah Gabrielle's appointment to head the Global Engagement Center might have raised some eyebrows. Before her stint as a Fox News reporter, she spent 12 years in the military. Gabrielle was trained by the CIA as an intelligence operative, worked in the Defense Intelligence Agency, and oversaw a naval intelligence program. But that's all we know about her. Everything else about her intelligence background is classified information. And Gabrielle is hardly a transparent pick for someone supposed to be protecting the American public from foreign propaganda. But is this Global Engagement Center creating domestic propaganda in the name of countering foreign propaganda? Here's what Richard Stengel, the man who helped create and oversee the Global Engagement Center, had to say about propagandizing American citizens.
My old job at the State Department was what people used to joke as the chief propagandist job. We haven't talked about propaganda. Propaganda, I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it to their own population, and I don't necessarily think it's that awful.
That's the very same Richard Stengel who appeared on MSNBC on Thursday warning about Russian propaganda.
So this is a whole elaborate Russian ecosystem that we've really seen highlighted since Donald Trump has become president. And it actually starts with the Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, which is the troll farm that did all of the disinformation during the election. Putin's own kind of ideologues will pronounce something, it'll be on Russian TV, it'll go to Sputnik, abruptly, and then Russia Today, and that is how it gets out there.
Now, if this Global Engagement Center is starting to sound reminiscent of the Cold War, your instincts are correct. Daniel Kimmage, the acting head of the Global Engagement Center, said it's a reincarnation of the Active Measures Working Group, the Cold War-era agency Ronald Reagan created to counter Soviet propaganda. Kimmage says the current push is only in its initial stages, and that in the next 2 to 3 years, there will be a tangible impact. The similarities between the Global Engagement Center and the Active Measures Working Group don't end there. They actually involve some of the very same figures. Todd Leventhal was one of the key operatives in the Active Measures Working Group. He spent 3 decades in the State Department, and according to journalist Yuri Rivio, Leventhal was part of the Bush administration's effort to convince the world that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And now, according to his LinkedIn page, he's a senior counter-disinformation advisor in the Global Engagement Center. What's more, Leventhal was implicated in a British military intelligence operation called the Integrity Initiative. Hacked documents show the British government-funded Institute for Statecraft paid Leventhal 50,000 British pounds. That's about 76,000 American dollars for a 50% contract. So not only was the new head of the Global Engagement Center trained by the CIA, and its founder has publicly endorsed propagandizing American citizens, but one of its key operatives is a de facto agent of the British military intelligence. So could it be that the claim that we hear so often that this network, RT, is propaganda, is American government propaganda itself? Back to you, Rick.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe. and never stop questioning more.